Hello again. This is Jeannie. Welcome to my YouTube channel. That's it, the YouTube channel. I have a couple more beginning ideas for you to pass along to you and in this video. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll kind of talk you through what I'm doing, and hopefully you can try it yourself at home. First thing I want to show you is a wet into wet, and what I'm doing right now is I'm just putting water on my paper. I'm just going to put lots of water on my paper, and I want it to be kind of juicy and shiny. Hopefully you can see that that's a little bit shiny. I want it evenly wet. And then what I'm going to do is come into my palette. I'm going to pick some different colors that I haven't shown you before. This is Quinacridone Violet. I'll list those down in my description box so you can try them too. Let's see, I think I'm going to try some, this is Perylene Green, and then I'm going to use a Thalo Turquoise. These are all gorgeous colors, and what we're going to do is see what happens when we lay them down on this wet surface. Let's see which color we'll start with. I think I'll start with the Thalo Turquoise, and I'm just going to touch that onto my paper. It's much different than those flat washes we were doing in one of my other videos. Let's try the green. I want to see what happens when we touch the green into that. The colors in watercolor will react differently to each other depending on the properties of the color. They'll always dry lighter than what they are when they're wet. So let's try that violet. Let's see what happens when we touch the violet. You know, do you remember when you had your crayons when you were a little kid? The magenta and turquoise were always my favorites. I kind of wanted to see how those two looked side by side. This isn't quite that bright magenta. Look at how it's pushing and moving. It'll be interesting to see what it looks like when it's dry. I'm just going to let it do its own thing. One of the nice things about practicing your with your watercolor is that you don't have to, you're not working on a real painting, so you get to see whether you like something or not, if it's going to work together. Maybe we don't like those three together. We can try 3 different colors that maybe we'll like better. My paint's a little bit blue. I have a little bit of blue still on my brush, I see, the Thalo Turquoise. So again, I'm just evenly dampening my paper. Let's see what happens. I'm going to choose Permanent Rose this time. Permanent Rose is like always my standout favorite of favorites. And as far as my red goes anyway. And I'm going to try Green Gold. And I'm also going to use that Thalo Turquoise again. I just love the way this looks when it goes down on the wet paper. Yeah, see, I like that color better than that color. What do you guys think? Look at what the violet looks when those two mix together. It's almost like this one is, yeah, quite a bit. Okay, I'm gonna try the yellow green. We'll see if we like that. I'm gonna move it over here because I'm chicken. I don't want it mixing in with that yet. There's a beautiful green with those two. Let's try. I'm gonna put a little bit of it right in there, see what happens. If you like abstract, I think you'll love these kinds of practices. You want your paper completely flat when you're doing this, and that way the colors can mingle and merge and sort of do their own things. If you tip this up, it's all going to run and not mix as nicely. So I'll take a little bit. I'm drying my brush, taking a little bit of moisture out of this. I want to show you what happens if you tilt it, but I don't want it to completely go crazy. So if you tilt this, I hope you can see this when I do this. If you tilt this, see, it's going to do this. Sometimes it's kind of cool though. I'll stop because I don't want it to do any more than that. Neato, huh? Watercolor is so beautiful. I hope you'll enjoy it. I really hope to pass on my love of watercolor to people. And this particular type of watercolor that I do that's so transparent and translucent, and you can just see the color shining through. I'm going to show you something else. I'm going to let those just sit. I want to show you how the water the color can be softened. So I have a hard edge right here. I'm creating like a little square. I'll just start by creating two sides of the square. This is just permanent rose here. But say I started making this square and then I thought, no, I want this side, this half of the square to just be really soft and kind of fade out. But this part can be real strong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean my brush as good as I can, really swirl it around in that water. And then I'm going to come here. I'm just kind of touching my Kleenex to the edge of my ferrule here. And then I'm going to come down here. I'm about 3/4 of an inch away from the edge of that. And I'm bringing in some clear water. And then I'm just going to kind of slowly move up to the edge of that little square. Whoa, when I touch the edge, the color is going to move there. So then the color's just going to pull over here, and the less water I have on this side, so I'm going to just dry my brush, clean that area, the more that the color is going to keep moving this way. The more water and pigment I have on that side, the more it's going to push over to that drier area. It's just, you can, I don't know if the camera is going to pick it up enough. Maybe I can move in there and really zoom in so you can see it kind of moving and feathering out there. And the more water and color you put over there, the more that's going to push and feather out. But if we clean our brush, and look at how beautiful that is feathering out. If we clean our brush and bring clear water over here, watch what happens. And then I'm going to just take up some of the moisture back in here, just to show you the way that the water works in watercolor. See it moving backwards? Isn't that cool? So it's important to understand the dynamic of the water when you're painting in watercolor. The more water there is over here on this side, the more that's going to push that way. The more, so if we take some of that water out, let's take some of that water out over here. Again, the more water we take, and I'm not touching that midpoint. The more I take water out here and put the pigment and water over here, the more that's going to start feathering back in. I hope you'll try that at your house, in your studios. I hope you enjoyed this little video, and just play with your watercolor and see what happens. If you like this video, if you want to learn more about watercolor, please give me a thumbs up, or a thumbs up on the video anyway, and I'll see you again in my next one. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a good afternoon.